Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youthman, and this is my friend Nelson. This morning, Nelson sent me a text and said, hey, Michael, what are you up to today? And I said, well, I've got some work to do, but if you want to come over and check out the new JTR speakers, you are more than welcome. And so he came over here just a little bit ago. We've been doing some demo content on the new JTR 212HTR speakers that just came in last week. Just posted a video of my initial impressions of those speakers in last video, so I'll leave a link to it right up here in the card above, as well as in the description below. So Nelson has been a good friend of mine for probably the past 2 years, at least a year. I did a home theater tour of your setup, probably one of the first home theater tours besides my own, and so I'll have a link to it as well down in the description. But Nelson, your home theater has begun a transformation of its own. What were you previously running?
I was previously running the RF7s, the center channel, the RC64, all third gens. And for surrounds, I'm still keeping it the same for now, but I eventually will go JTR. I can't think in my head what model.
I think you have the RP, like the reference premiere.
160s.
Okay, the bookshelves.
The bookshelves.
160Ms.
And the in-ceiling speakers, I'm running the
I think you got the same thing I got, yeah.
The same ones you have.
Yeah, the CDT 5800C version 2s. And so I had a chance to hear your setup a long time ago, was absolutely blown away. That was the first time I'd ever heard dual SVS PV16s, totally rocked my world. And that was enough for me to want to upgrade from my previous, I had 4 Klipsch subwoofers, and I ended up selling those and purchasing the dual SVS PV16s and rocked that in my home theater for quite some time. But over the past couple of weeks, you called me and said, hey, Michael, I'm wanting to change up some things in my theater room. We're going to make some pretty big changes, even the room that it's in now. And you told me that you were interested in ordering some JTR speakers. And so you've already got some on order, correct?
Yes, I have the HTR, the same ones that are behind your screen.
Okay, so the 212 HTRs.
A custom look. It's gonna look like the black veneer.
Okay, gotcha. Like a black wood.
Yeah,
okay.
Same as the what it looks like the RF7 third gens. The way the outside, not the front. It's going to look identical to that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I'm going with the subwoofers. I'm going with the tall version.
Okay, so is that the 4000 ULF?
The 4000 ULF tall version. It hasn't been seen in YouTube, at least not yet.
Okay, gotcha. Now, is that the, I know Jeff makes like one called a sofa table. It's not that one, right?
No, it's not that one.
So it's more like a vertical subwoofer configuration with
It's
dual
like
18s.
Yeah, dual 18s, the tall version.
Taller instead of deeper, probably.
Yeah, so it's going to be smaller footprint.
Gotcha.
And tall.
Okay, gotcha. Very cool. So he's got some JTR speed. When was the first time that you heard JTR?
First time I heard it was before the pandemic was going on when you went to Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah, when I flew up there, so he was watching my videos. He's like, hey, Michael, what's up with these JTR things? I've never heard of those. So we had some conversation about that. Then I got the dual RS2s in for review. And when I made the decision to upgrade to those, I think sometime after that, you said, hey, I want to come hear those guys. Yeah. And so you made a trip over here. You heard those with my La Scalas. And what did you think about that setup?
It sounded good. The subs are insanely, it's different from what I'm used to. I'm used to ported.
Sure.
And sealed is just it's different.
Yeah, it's a different sound.
It's a different sound. It sounded good.
Yeah.
And I was real impressed with the subs. So I could imagine what their ported version would sound like.
Right. Yeah, you definitely, if you're used to that kind of that, I like to equate ported, they're very more aggressive. Like they'll reach out and just grab you and shake you. The sealed version, there's still plenty of output, still dig super deep, but definitely not that aggressiveness. They're more, to me, refined in that. And so, you know, like I said, Nelson wanted to come over, and when he came over, he's like, I said, what you got there, man? He said, I've got Monster Hunter, and I've never seen that. It was brand new in a package, so we opened it up. We fired this up just to hear it. I haven't done a lot of, you know, kind of demos. I've mostly done streaming, like I shared in the last video. I've done some Netflix and Amazon Prime and so forth. Listened to a little bit so far of 4K content. But let's talk. We watched through probably the first maybe 5-10 minutes of the film. And so kind of what were your impressions? So you've heard now we didn't listen to the same exact demo material then, when you've heard my La Scalas, but you've been over here several times. You've heard my La Scalas. Are there any differences that you heard with watching a movie? So we watched this. So just share kind of what are your thoughts on that? What did your ears hear? We didn't talk over or prior to making this video. I just wanted to get your just initial reaction of what do you hear? Is it different? Is it better? Is it lower? And I don't know. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
My thoughts on it is, from the Scalas, it seems like probably because your speakers or the tweeters are higher up.
They were, yeah.
I noticed that it was more impacting me more than what the Scalas were.
Okay, so you're talking about the JTR speakers that are in
the
there
JTR
now.
speakers are in there now.
Okay, so they're
I
impacting
noticed
you
that
more.
they're impacting me more.
Okay.
Like there's more on detailing. Is like it's really intense now. Intense.
I put it this way: I ordered this movie right after the demo. It might be a cheesy movie because it's got these little, I don't know, these dragons and stuff. It may be cool. I don't know. It just sounded, well, it sounded pretty awesome. So I'll let Nelson. What else did you hear in it?
Detail wise, major difference. Volume wise, major difference. Clear. The sound was more. It was like it's different. It's really can't explain it. Really, it's just it's more detail. There's more sound. There was stuff that I could hear more than other speakers. Like the detail. There was like the way the boat was moving. That was intense. It was just sliding down, and you could hear the sand moving, and it was like it was really intense.
Yeah.
And just the way it hit, it was just like it grabbed me, kind of scared me in a way.
Yeah. And we were listening about, I think most of the time, about -5 dB. Sometimes we'd back it down to -10, -15, just trying different levels and volume levels to see kind of what would be the differences in those. And I know for me, I totally agree. My La Scalas, I absolutely love them. They're phenomenal speakers. Never am going to knock them. They're fantastic. But what I'm hearing in this demo and in my previous demos that I shared in my last video is like what you're saying. I'm still hearing that incredible detail, the clarity, the dynamics, but even vocals during the movie as they're talking, it definitely sounds different than what I'm used to. And part of that could be the fact that mid-range horn with the tweeter and the mid-range is lower, so it's kind of more at my ears. Even though I had my La Scalas angled down towards my listening area, maybe it's not the same. But then again, maybe it's just a different driver altogether that's making the difference, because JTR is using a compression, I think it's a compression driver, but it's a coaxial driver. So there's a tweeter and a mid-range behind that horn. So that was for movies, pretty crazy. Definitely could have went up a lot more in volume, but there was no reason to. It was plenty loud enough. I think our ears would have given out long before the system would. And so, but then you asked me, you're like, hey, that sounds cool on movies, but how do they sound for music? And he said, too bad you didn't have Greatest Showman. Well, guess what? I happen to have Greatest Showman, and I love that movie. It sounds phenomenal. There's a lot of dynamics that go into that. There's low bass frequencies, as well as just just great dialogue, some beautiful singing. There's acoustic sections of it, and then there's high energy sections of it. And so we listened to a couple of tracks on that. We listened to This Is Me. And then I think there was another one. And I forget the name of the lady, but she's singing on stage, just got the real beautiful angelic voice. She's in that white dress. And so we listened to those two. What were your thoughts on music-wise? What did you hear out of that?
Music-wise, I heard a major difference there. even compared to my RS7 third gens.
Okay.
It was like the voices were different. It sounded more kind of more realistic in
Okay.
a way
Okay.
compared to my RS7s. There was a major difference with the voices. There was more detail. Like when they were moving around, I could hear all that.
Okay.
I could hear all the movement. The detail was there. The part when the piano, you can hear the piano like
Okay. Like the
detail
fingertips
there.
hitting it? Or?
Kind of not.
Okay.
Kind of you can hear stuff.
Okay.
The breathing,
Yeah.
that was intense.
Yeah.
It
So,
was really,
like
really
in between,
intense.
she would be in a song, and then she would take a deep breath or even a light breath, and you would hear that airiness in her
Yeah,
voice.
you kind of like the lips
Yeah.
moving,
Touching together.
touching together. You can hear all that detail, and
Yeah.
that was like amazing.
Yeah.
And I want to say something. There are a lot of people out there that heard YouTube JTRs.
Yeah.
I have done it. You really don't get to hear what these sound like.
Yeah.
Don't think that what you hear on YouTube is what you hear, because it's not.
And that
You
really
have-
goes for any brand. I know a lot of you guys ask all the time, like, hey man, that was a cool, visual demo of your theater room, but I really was hoping to hear it. The reality is you're not going to hear it, especially in a 7.2.4 Dolby Atmos setup. You're not going to hear it on this microphone, his microphone. It's just not possible to really capture that experience. But we do it sometimes just to appease you guys. But you're right, it's hard to capture what our ears are hearing. So the only next best thing that we can do is try to share and convey verbally what our ears and what our bodies experienced through this. And I say bodies because the dual Captivator RS2s are pretty crazy. They pressurize my 13 by 19 with 10-foot ceilings very well in this room, and they extend flat down to 8 hertz, and I've got usable output down to 4 hertz. And so definitely some low frequencies there. But I would agree with you as far as I think that's one of the biggest differences that I've noticed, and I mentioned that in my previous video, with the JTRs. When I made the trip about a year ago to visit JTR, the thing that blew me away was, yes, the movies were amazing, but when Tony and Jeff and also Scott, when they played, well, we'll get to that in a minute, when they played things like Greatest Showman and this other disc that we'll talk about in a second, I've never experienced that level of musicality and the I guess just the forwardness of the vocals that I experienced up there in those 3 systems. And with this, I think it literally has taken, especially music, to a whole new level in my home theater. I think these speakers are great for music as well as for movies. And the cool thing is, if you think about it, if it sounds good for music, there's music scores all in movies. You've got instruments that are playing. You've got violins. You've got all these different instruments that are playing to kind of build up the emotion. And the better that they can reproduce that, the better experience you're going to have when watching a movie. So the third demo that we did, and it's kind of one of my go-tos after that trip, it was the first time I had heard it, and that's A Star Is Born. So there's 2 songs on this that I just absolutely love, and I go to them every time. It's very acoustical. One of them, she's on a piano singing, and like you said, the breathiness in her air when she breathes in, you just hear all those subtleties and all those nuances. And then there's another part where she first comes onto the stage the very first time to sing her song, and when she walks on the stage, I don't ever remember hearing the footsteps before, but I literally heard her feet. Every time she would walk, I heard those little nuances and those subtleties. And so I'm definitely picking up more, not only in movies, but also in music as well. So what were your thoughts on A Star Is Born? Because you had never actually even heard either one of those songs, right?
No, I haven't. I haven't heard those.
Okay.
My opinion on those was like what you said, that you can hear every detail, like the steps. I don't hear that with the RS7 third gens. I never heard that.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed with that. Like, I didn't know that there was stuff missing. So I heard these JTRs. I'm like, whoa, what is this? It's different. And that's what I noticed. I noticed the detail and everything. And the guy with the guitar, it's just like, it's different. Like I always said, they don't sound like horns. They don't.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. They've got the clarity, the detail, and dynamics that I love about all of my clip speakers, but that top end, definitely, like you said, it doesn't sound shouty, and not that clips do, but a lot of people, you know, their ears are very sensitive to horn speakers. But these, like I said, they just got, to me, the mid-range is like the part that impresses me the most. When I'm listening to music now, I've listened to more music probably over the past week than maybe I've listened to on my La Scalas in here literally in the past 6 months, maybe even a year. And I don't really listen to two-channel music a lot. Sometimes I'll go in the living room, sit on the couch and listen there, but I rarely found myself listening to two-channel in here. And again, not knocking the La Scalas, because they're known for two-channel. I've heard them in living room environments. They sound phenomenal. But I think in this room, behind my screen, inside my cabinet, not sure it was the best fit, sonically. And by lowering that horn, getting it more directly in line with my seating position and my ears, I think has really, really helped in regards to that. So any other thoughts on those 3 demos?
Just what I said. It was the detail, and it was just different. It was amazing. It really blew me away.
So I looked over a couple times at Nelson, and you were like,
yeah, I was blown away.
He was smiling.
I'm glad I purchased them, and I'm being honest. I purchased them blind.
Yeah.
I bought JTR without even listening to them, just by watching your videos with when you went to Tony's house.
Yeah.
And when you were sitting in the couch, and I was watching the way your face reaction to it.
Yeah, I think
and that's how I realized. I just felt the same thing just now. Now I know what you felt.
Gotcha. Well, Nelson, I appreciate you stopping by. You're always welcome anytime in my home theater. And to me, this is what is super exciting about home theater, is being able to share the same passion and love for music and movies, and to be able to develop home theater in your space. And so on my channel, if you kind of new here, I do a lot of home theater tours. I do smaller living room setups like Nelson's. I've done really small systems. I've done some really big systems, and I've got a lot more of those planned here in the near future. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.